Well, greetings and salutations, this is Rick. I hope you're having a great day. In today's video, I'm going to give you a guided tour of the new shed. Okay, it's been about 2 weeks since I put my last video up, and during that time I've built a new shed and a new fence. I think I probably mentioned the new fence at some point. I decided to go for the lifetime fence, but basically last year my neighbours put this one in and I really liked it. I thought it was a really good idea. You don't have to paint it, you don't ever have to sort of replace it, it should be there permanently. So this year I've been saving up the pennies and I decided to install one myself. So I was really knackered from doing that because it was really hard work. Managed to do it, and then also my shed, my garden shed, was just it was dilapidated, it was falling apart, it was a really rubbish shed. So I had a good look around and I found one that I really liked the look of, and it is this one. And essentially what we have here, well, they don't call it a shed, they call it a log cabin, and it's kind of like got that overlapped, crossed at the ends log cabin arrangement. The wood is like 19mm thick, and it was a bit of a nightmare because it arrived about 2 weeks early, and I was not sort of prepared to put it up. Plus, all of the wood was completely untreated, and we were going through some really bad rain issues, so I had to get my timing right. And anyway, I managed to sort of get it up and varnished, because I couldn't just put it up and leave it. I literally had to get varnish on it the day it went up. But I've managed to use yacht varnish. I decided that I wasn't going to paint it. A lot of people paint their sheds a different colour, but because I like the natural colour of the wood, I decided to use yacht varnish on it, just to sort of retain that natural look. And so far it's looking good. But yeah, so far I'm kind of quite pleased with the overall result. It's quite a big shed. It's, well, say big, it's I think it's 14 by 8. I was originally going to go 16 by 8, but then I realised I wouldn't have been able to get down the sides of it to paint it. So 14 by 8 is about the biggest I could have gone, and I'm very happy with it. So here we are in my humble little shed. Some people have suggested it looks like the inside of the space station, which yeah, maybe. But basically, obviously, everything is lined. I've got the floor, the ceiling. Oh, that's warm from the sun. Oh, that's interesting. That's cold, but where it comes into contact with the rafter, that's warm because the sun's baking the roof at the moment. So that to me is an indication that this is working. So that's, like I say, the actual the rafter is there, and there's heat from that. So hopefully this is going to work. Obviously in the winter time it's going to keep the warmth in, and in the summertime hopefully it's going to keep it nice and cool in here. That's the thinking. I've even insulated the doors as well, so that hopefully, you know, heat loss will be a minimum, and obviously in the winter I'll have a little heater in here as well. This is the shed end. Obviously it's a shed, so I need to keep sheddy things in there, like me garden tools and things. When I first moved in here it was completely full, and I wanted some space to move around, so I sifted through all of my shed stuff and I just basically got rid of anything that I never use. So now I'm just down to basic essentials. I've got a box for garden, I've got a box for van conversion stuff that's left over, I've got a box for cleaning the van, got a couple of boxes with electrical wires and stuff in, and that's about it, and a little packet of screws down there. Now the whole installation thing was done with this stuff called super quilt, and the way this works is you have to have a gap behind it, and they were very, very careful to explain this on the phone to me. And so basically I've attached it to the rafters, but behind this bit here, I mean, there's a rafter there, but there's a gap like that behind the majority of it. And the same for the walls. I had big flat walls, and what I had to do was put a load of beams along these walls. I'm probably showing you some photographs now, and they would create the air pocket gap. So behind here you've got your rafters here, all right, and then there's another rafter there, but then all that is just, there's a big gap behind it. Now I could have put another wall on top of it. I could have added another rafter and then put a decorative wall, but to be honest I didn't think there was much point in it. A, because it's going to cost loads of money, but also it's just going to make the space smaller as well. So I decided I'm going to just kind of live with this for a while and see how I get on with it, and I think it's going to be fine. So anyway, this is the shed end, because obviously it is a shed, but this is the business end, and this is going to be where I'm going to be operating my telescope from. I decided, I had that big table in the conservatory and it just took up so much space. I really kind of didn't like the fact that was in there, so I thought, well, if I move it all down to the shed, it'll be much better. So I've got my little rubbishy old sort of 8-year-old computer there that it works enough to be able to operate the telescope. I've had to get a Wi-Fi extender so that the Wi-Fi will reach down here, and it does seem to do okay through this. So even with the door shut, I've still got a Wi-Fi signal, although it is reduced. So if I do a speed test, let's see how we're doing. So let's do that Ookla one. So this is with the, I've actually got some more leads and things coming today, because this is so old-fashioned that everything runs on VGA, but the VGA cables I've got are really short, because ideally I want this sort of facing that way. Yeah, I've got some new VGA cables that should arrive today. Right, so we're going to begin the test. So this is on a Wi-Fi extender which I got in the conservatory, and this is on the dongle going through all of this metalwork. I'm still getting, what's that, sort of 7-8 megabytes per second, which is that's absolutely fine. That's acceptable for in here. I think if I open the door it goes up to about 13, so the signal is getting in, so I'm quite happy with that. I've also got some other lighting in here. If I turn off these ones, which is just on a 12-volt plug, and I turn off this main one, which is off 240, and I hit this button here, I've actually got a light up there. Now the idea of this is you can have it red. So because light kills your night vision, when it's really dark I can actually just have red lights on, and that way I can still do my astronomy without losing my night vision, which would be really good. There you go, 8.4 megabytes per second. That's fine, I can live with that. Now in like Stellarium, at the moment it's daytime, but in Stellarium you can actually switch it over to night vision as well, so that everything can be in red, and then hopefully you're going to save your night vision, so your eyes can get adjusted and then not get blown out every time you look at a bit of light. So that's another option, which is quite cool. And I've also built a red light into the step outside, so that if I need to do any adjustments to the telescope or whatever, I can still go out there, still have some light, but not lose my night vision, which is really cool. Right, enough of that. Let's just turn that one out. But yeah, those stick-on LED lights are just fantastic. They're so versatile, you can do so much with them, so I'm really chuffed with them. Now I made myself a nice little bench. These two bits of wood were offcuts from the kitchen. Now because they're hardwood, I haven't actually got the tools to cut through this, but these were just the right size, oddly enough. So I sort of put them on this little thing that I made up out of bits of wood. So I made up this little tabley thing, got a little place where you can sort of put your feet as well, and I'm quite pleased with that. There we go, and it's actually quite comfortable at this height. And these actual beams were pressure treated wood that the old shed sat on. I was wondering what I'd do with it, but it's come in really handy. So I've got myself a nice little workbench, and hopefully I'm going to be able to spend many hours out here doing astrophotography. and in the warm in the winter. I can have the doors open in the summer, and hopefully it should be good. Now the floor, I decided again I wanted an insulated floor. So what I did was underneath I got some of these little mats that click together. They kind of got a jigsaw type arrangement there. So I put those down first, and then I got a roll of this rubber matting. So it makes a nice sort of soft floor, but it's also insulated. But also in the middle of the night, and if you're walking up and down on a shed floor, you've got that clonk, clonk, clonk noise. Well now, hopefully it's pretty quiet, and I'm not going to be disturbing the neighbours at 3 o'clock in the morning. So there were sort of two reasons behind this flooring, and it also kind of looks pretty good as well. Although the problem with having white stones outside, it's really easy to make white footprints all over the place. So I've rearranged my paving stones as well so that I can keep off the stones. Although I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out in reality when I'm out there with the telescope, because the telescope is kind of offset, so I'll probably be needing to tread on the stone. Anyway, minor first world problems. I'm really not bothered. But yeah, so that is basically what I've been up to for the last 2 weeks. I'm absolutely exhausted. It's been full on every single day. Sort of new bits and bobs have had to go in. Like I say, it took about a day for the shed to go up, but then it's taken about 5 days for the rest of, you know, all the plumbing, all of the wiring, the insulation, all the little bits and pieces. They just seem to take forever. But pretty much now it's done. Like I said, I've just got a few more leads to arrive so that I can get these leads sort of tidied up a little bit. But I think we're there. So there we go, that's my little man cavey shed at the moment. If you've got any ideas on what other little creature comforts and things I can bring out here, I mean, I was pondering on tea and coffee making facilities, maybe a little kettle or something, but I'm only limited. I'm limited to a maximum load of 3,120 watts on this power system, so I don't want to overload it, especially in the winter if I've got a little fire going. I don't want to be overloading it with other things. So I think for tea and coffee I'll probably just go into the house as well, and it's less messy. So we'll see. But if you've got any ideas on, you know, how I can improve on this or do other things, I would be very, very interested to hear. Hopefully we can get out here soon and be able to do some more astrophotography videos, which would be good. And obviously it's depending on the clouds and the sky and how exhausted I am, because at the moment I'm extremely knackered. I just literally, I've been full on working really hard for 2 weeks, and I just ache all over. I need a bit of a break, so I'm hoping to get that over the next couple of days. But if I get a chance to get the telescope out and have a go, I'll make sure I put the video camera on, and we'll see what we can do. So until then, thanks for watching guys, have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care.